What's up, everybody? It's Scott from Extreme Performance Training Systems. In this video, I want to look at three of my favorite abdominal training exercises or torso training exercises that I use with the grapplers and fighters that I train here in my training center. So the first one that I want to look at is just something that we call static abdominal exercises, utilizing a lat pull-down machine, or I'm also going to show variation with a band in case you don't have access to a pull-down machine in your gym or training center. This is something that I learned from Louis Simmons at Westside Barbell, and one of the things that I noticed that he likes to do is just experiment with a lot of different positions and things like that, and some different grip attachments on the lat machine. So what I'm going to show, I'm just using a simple V grip for the tricep, and what you're going to notice is I'm going to hang on to the grip with my hands, but I'm not going to pull with my arms or push with my triceps like a tricep push down. What I want to do is I want to hold the grip close to my head, and what you're going to see is I'm going to statically contract my abdominals to pull the weight down to a position, and then I'm going to hold it. And I'm just going to go through some of the different positions. I like to go to the front. I like to work each side, working the obliques, and change the angles that I work. Generally, when I'm doing this exercise or I'm having my athletes do it, we're going to hold this static contraction position for a period of time. Sometimes we'll go with heavier weights and hold for like 30 or 45 seconds. Sometimes we'll go with a little bit lighter weights and hold for like a minute or 2 minutes, or we'll increase the time exponentially from that point. Because one of the things you got to keep in mind is when you're training, one of the things, especially I noticed ever since I started training jiu-jitsu, was especially when I'm in a position like playing close guard or around my back, I'm gonna notice, I've noticed that my abdominals are contracted really statically as I'm working against my training partner. Sometimes if I'm holding close guard, I notice that my hip flexors, my abs, especially the lower area, gets really, really tight and sore after training, and I have to do some extra stretching and things like that for that area. So it just made me realize the importance of the static contraction. You think of fighters, you know, when they're in the clinch or they're up against a cage, they may be pulling down on their opponent's head. They're using the abdominals to hold that position in a static contraction, meaning that they're not doing like reps like a crunch or a sit-up. They're just holding a contracted position for a certain period of time. So one of the things that we like to do, like I said here, is we like to do a lot of static abdominal training. One of the easiest ways to do is with a lat pull-down machine. Again, if you don't have a lat pull-down machine, I'm going to show some variations with a band as well. All right. So like I said, you just take the attachment that you're going to use. This is just a V tricep grip, and I'm going to pull it down right in front of my head, and I'm going to lock my elbows in place, and then I'm just going to statically contract my abs after I pull down to a certain position. So now my abs are firing, and I'm just holding this forward crunch position, and I can hold this for a certain time sets, or I can switch. I'll work the obliques to each side. Again, just experimenting with different body angles and different foot positions. And as you change things up, you're gonna find that you're gonna fire a certain point. You might fire your obliques a little bit more on one position. You might fire the rectus abdominis more at one position. You might even feel it down in the hip flexors, and that's all good because we are trying to train this entire midsection torso area. Now, like I said, if you don't have access to a lat pull machine, a great variation is just to choke a heavy band on like a pull-up bar or over the top of a power rack. So I've got one of my Westside Barbell average bands over here, just hanging off the top of the lat machine. So same thing, you would just get a grip on the band, lock those arms into position, and then do those same static hold positions for the abdominals. Curling down to the front to hold, working at angles for the obliques. Even going into more of a side bend. You can even take the weight, go over the shoulder, and curl in like a wood chopper type position, like so. It's a really great way to get some extra work on the torso and obliques. So again, those are just some variations on what we call static abdominals, utilizing lat pull machine, or again, you can choke a band to a pull-up bar at the top of a power rack if you don't have access to a lat pull machine. And again, all credit goes to Louis Simmons at Westside Barbell. He showed me these exercises on a couple of the different training visits that I made up there, and just really, really some great ways to train the abdominals from a standing ground-based position. So let's go ahead and take a look at the next one. All right, so this next exercise is called a stir the pot. This is basically doing a static hold plank on top of a stability ball, and then we're going to create a little bit of dynamic movement by working small circles with our arms around the ball. So again, you're going to begin this position or begin this exercise by getting into plank position on the ball. Now, I like to put my arms in a bit of a triangle like this, so my elbows are a little bit wider. It just makes it a little bit easier to control the ball when you're making the circles. But I have found that if you bring your elbows a little bit closer together, it becomes more challenging to stabilize the ball because you don't have as wide of a base on top of the ball. The same goes with your feet. When you're first learning this exercise, you're going to want to go with a little bit wider foot position because that's going to give you a little bit more lateral stability as you're doing the exercise. But the closer you bring your feet together, the more challenging the exercise becomes. And like I said, once you get up into your plank position, all you're going to do is make small circles in both directions with the ball. Now, typically, I'll just do multiple repetitions in each direction. We want to try to hold this exercise for a longer hold because we are trying to get some static contractions in the abs. We're trying to make this a little bit more muscular endurance oriented. So what I want to do is work a little bit higher repetitions. I generally go for about 20 to 30 reps in each direction. Or if I'm training with a training partner, they may time like maybe 30 seconds in each direction or something like that. But you may have to start with lower reps and build your way up, or lower times and build your way up. But let's go and demonstrate the exercise again. You're getting into a plank position with your arms in a bit of a triangle pattern for a little bit of stability and control over the ball. Then you're going to pop up, and you want to make sure that you're not sticking your butt up or you're allowing your hips to sag. So you want to squeeze the glutes really tight, and you want to brace the abdominals as if somebody's going to hit you in the stomach. All right. So you want to lock everything down tight. You don't want to stick the butt up in a pike position or let the hips sag. So once you get into your braced plank position, all you do is you make circles with the ball in each direction. And you're going to feel lots of contraction in the midsection, the torso, even into the glutes, the hip flexors, the thighs. Just kind of brings everything from the shoulders all the way down to the toes into play on this exercise. And a lot of my clients and athletes I train like to refer to this as a plank on steroids. So that's the second exercise in this series. Let's go ahead and take a look at the third one. All right, this last exercise that I'm going to demonstrate is called the Sidewinder. This is a great exercise because it works both upper body and lower body rotation. Basically what it is, it's an alternating shoulder and hip walk in a lateral plane. All right, so I'm going to demonstrate two variations of the exercise. One is without weights, but you can also overload this exercise by holding a weight plate or a kettlebell or a med ball or something just to add a little bit of resistance to the exercise. So this exercise, because we are basically walking, we're moving, I'll generally do this back on the grappling mats. The length of our mats is about 36 feet long, or it's about 15, 16 feet wide. So generally, if I'm just doing the width of the mats, I'll usually take a couple trips down and back per set, or I'll just walk the entire length of the mat down and back and call that one set when I'm doing this exercise for training. It's a little bit easier just to mark off a distance than counting reps. And again, because we are trying to build muscular endurance in our torso, we want to make sure we're gradually increasing the lengths of the set, even when we are challenging the exercise by adding resistance in the form of holding a weight. So again, here's a couple different variations of the Sidewinder. I'm going to show the unloaded variation first, then I'm going to show how to load it just using a weight plate. So I'm going to start here at the end of my mats, and you're just going to lay down on your back. And basically, like I said, what we're going to do is we're going to alternate walking on the shoulders and on the hips, and we're going to move laterally down the mat. So I'm just going to pick up the shoulders and then pick up the hips as I rotate top to bottom, walking across the mats. And again, this is very easy to load with weight. I'm just going to take one of my bumper plates, just kind of hold out in front like a steering wheel, and then this is a great way to load the exercise. And again, that's the Sidewinder. It's just it's a great variation to incorporating your abdominal training because, like I said, it does work both upper body and lower body rotation. So those are three of my favorite exercises that I like to train myself or with the grapplers and the fighters that I work. If you see, some of them incorporate dynamic movement, some of them incorporate static holds and positions, and then some of them, like the stir the pot, will incorporate a static hold coupled with a dynamic movement. So hopefully this gives you some ideas on how to incorporate some different exercises into your abdominal and torso training. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to email me at scott@eptsgym.com. You can find all my information down in the notes below the video. If you've got any questions, or if there's any topics or exercises or training methodologies you'd like to see me address in future videos, you can message those to me at scott@eptsgym.com, or you can hit me up through direct message on any of my social media. So again, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Good luck with your training, and we'll see you next time.